I'm Lily Gardner-Feldman. I direct the Society, Culture and Politics program at AICGS. The video clips that follow are a sample of the recommendations arrived at by a group of 4 young Germans and 4 young Americans over this past year. The focus of the group's discussion was the role of civil society in reconciliation at a time of uncertainty. The group looked at both German-American relations, the bilateral case, and at German-American cooperation in the international arena to promote conflict resolution and reconciliation. At the bottom of this video, you will find a link so that you can see all of the recommendations that the group decided on.
First, regarding bilateral relations, there seems to be so much uncertainty on the U.S. side with very ominous signs. The criticism of the German export surplus, the failure to meet NATO's 2% defense spending threshold, and domestically in the United States, threats to the funding of the National Endowment of the Arts, sidelining of the State Department, etc. I think the Germans should step up and support and finance aspects of the bilateral relationship more than they have been doing before. Joint exchanges, for instance, might need to be financed predominantly by the Germans, at least for the time being. Germans might also step in to finance struggling civil societal or nonprofit organizations in the United States. Then second, in the international realm, regarding international crises, the Germans should also step into the probable void and redouble their soft power techniques to balance the likely harder responses from the US side. Germans should focus in particular on building and strengthening ties to civil societal groups and countries where crises are occurring or are likely to occur. Of course, maintaining a strong reputation domestically is also important to remain a beacon of Western values.
The German Bundestag and American Congress should provide funding for a large-scale, bilateral, interactive media platform with a mission featuring everyday life in both Germany and the United States. The new media platform would include different broadcast formats such as radio networks, podcasts, a website, videos, and feature stories about politics, civil society, and economics from both countries. The platform should be seen as an opportunity for young people to tell their everyday life stories and their point of view. The aim of this policy is to offer virtual intercultural exchange opportunities that help people from different countries, as well as people who are from the same country but identify with different societal groups, to understand each other's differences but also recognize shared values and grievances. This policy should draw on our experience with similar programs already available, such as Arte TV, a bilateral cooperation between Germany and France, but should broaden its scope by going beyond the medium of television and by targeting a younger and more diverse audience.
We actually talked a lot about democracy, about the strength of democracy, and about our wish to be for democracy to be supported by the people, by society, and we talked about our fear that about populism rising and black and white pictures growing. And I actually think, and this is my recommendation for the transatlantic connection for Germany and the United States, to invest more into civic education, to empower young people to be an active part of our societies. And I think we should do this through shared programs. We have a lot of shared programs, German-American programs, but we should include civic education. Programs that empower young people to be part of a lively democracy, both in Germany and the United States, and to act together in this respect.
To make. First of all, liberal-minded civil society in Germany has an important role in making sure that mainstream German political parties, be they traditional left or traditional right, do not leave the media and the street stage empty, and do not leave a vacuum to be filled by extreme right-wing neo-Nazis or other nationalist forces. This is important, especially in light of the refugee crisis and the securitization of this refugee crisis. Civil society organizations can help in many different ways, from directly assisting refugees to framing the media campaign of a secure and welcoming Germany in the Middle East. Given the changing nature and the uncertain role of the U.S. foreign policy in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, we may recommend an increasing of German support, I would say, at both the governmental and the civil society level of Israeli and Palestinian human rights organizations and organizations that promote ideas of conflict resolution along the lines of the two-state solution or any other cooperative solutions.
Yes, one of the ideas we came up with was for the United States and Germany to create a network of non-governmental organizations in Afghanistan to help them work better together. There has been millions and millions of dollars poured into Afghanistan over the last decade or so through NATO, through the European Union, through the United Nations, and there remain dozens of organizations active in that country. However, for all the help that Afghanistan has gotten, there's a lot of confusion and a lot of duplication. And so what would be good, rather than investing in new initiatives and spending more money, would be to streamline and create cooperative initiatives. So there could be a German-American partnership to help these NGOs work better together and work more effectively in administering aid and development to Afghanistan as they seek to find a more stable future.
One of the things that I believe that we need to focus more on is, on both sides, is more clarity and better transparency in the value of trade. Therefore, one of my recommendations is for German and American workers, specifically to begin through their companies exchanges in both countries to show how vital transatlantic trade is. I also think organizations like the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, the Deutsche Industrie- und Handelskammertag must do better to be involved in this, coordinate workers' transatlantic exchanges, and also engage in ad campaigns to demonstrate what is trade actually doing?
We also recommend that German and American companies should assume more responsibility in post-conflict societies. For example, rather than just utilizing cheap labor in post-violent societies, those companies could work together with grassroots movements and local NGOs in order to aid processes of reconciliation or in trying to eradicate corruption at the governmental level.